The campus belle's mother always paid off the girls swarming around her. I watched, green with envy. So, to make her mom pay me off, I went after her. I even spread the word that we were together. Sure enough, her mom took the bait and told me to take the money and stay away from her daughter. So, after I'd kept my distance from the belle for a while, her mother was very pleased. She moved to give me the final payment, but just as I reached for the bank card, my hand was suddenly pinned down by Vivian. "So," she said, "why'd you stop chasing me all of a sudden? Felix, you dare to play me? Tired of living, are you?" In the tea room, Mrs. Shen pushed a bank card toward a dyed blonde guy. "Take this money and leave my daughter." The blonde guy lifted his chin, looking completely unmoved. "Ma'am, you think money can put out my love for Vivian? If you keep clinging to my daughter, I'll make you vanish from this city." The blonde guy froze. Then he snatched up the bank card. "Fine, I'm gone." And with that, he ran off without looking back. I stood off to the side, holding a teapot, my hands shaking with excitement. 2 sentences, and 5 million yuan was his. I looked down at my work uniform. 25 an hour, 3 shifts a week, 3 hours a shift, 8,000 a month. He just moved his lips, and he's set for life. Why am I still working? I fell deep in thought. Back at school, I immediately downloaded the business school's textbooks. Then I started cleaning myself up. Finally, I bought a sheet of letter paper. I wrote Vivian a love letter. I said it was love at first sight. I loved her so much I couldn't help myself. For this, I even copied out a whole pile of love poems to deepen the feeling. Once it was done, I went to her classroom to find her. I was very confident. It's just playing the simp, pestering Vivian, then getting 5 million tossed at me by her mom. I know this gig. When I reached the classroom, I spotted Vivian right away. She sat in one of the back rows by the window. A few roommates gathered around her, every one of them a rich young lady. Right then, they were playing a game with dead serious faces. I walked straight over and sat down next to Vivian. In the middle of it all, she glanced up at me, her eyes sharp, as if her territory had been invaded. My heart pounded hard. I pumped myself up inside. "Vivian, don't worry, I'm not licking your boots for nothing. I'm getting fed and paid. Hey, nobody's sitting here, right?" She ignored me and kept gaming. I took that as a yes, then peeled off my jacket and squeezed in. Along the way, I even flashed my abs as if by accident, then introduced myself by her ear. "Felix, 2nd year, law school." She was cold as ice, completely unresponsive. Around us, people had already started sneaking looks. Their eyes were strange, like they were watching a circus clown. But I didn't care. As long as this reached her mother's ears, I'd succeed. The bell rang. She turned off her phone and listened to the lecture. I quietly slid the love letter over and tucked it into her book. She shot me a warning glance and ignored me, but she didn't refuse it. "There's a chance." I struck while the iron was hot. "Vivian, I like you. Do you believe feelings grow over time?" She raised an eyebrow and gave me a contemptuous look, then silently shifted over a little. Perfect. I loved the cold, aloof type. For a while after that, I acted like a stalker. Wherever she went, I followed. She had early class, so I bought breakfast and went with her. When she finished class and went back to the dorm, I waited downstairs. A few times I ran into her family's housekeeper coming to collect the laundry. "Oh, here to pick up Vivian's laundry? From now on, I'll wash it for her. You don't have to come." The housekeeper ignored me. I turned to Vivian and said, "Is your family running a charity, hiring the deaf and mute too?" Vivian's roommates gradually came around to me because I often bought their dorm food and drinks and grabbed them the braised meatballs from dining hall too. Braised meatballs are a popular dish. You have to fight for them a long time. These pampered young ladies didn't want to go scramble for food, so I earned the privilege of entering their dorm. I say dorm, but really the whole floor was theirs, a dorm building just for the rich. After that, I spent another month talking them into letting me do all the cleaning from then on. This step was key. It got me one step closer to Vivian. Every time Vivian opened her laptop to work, I sat beside her, keeping her company. She ignored me, but she didn't push me away either. I watched her. She watched her screen. Thinking about how her mom would one day hand me 5 million to get rid of me, I felt great. I asked her, "Aren't you bored like this? I can sing. Want me to sing you a song?" "No." "Then how about a story?" "No." "Then let me tell you about myself. You can't not know your own suitor." She refused again, but I didn't care. I just started listing my good points. "I think we're a great match. I'm the law school's heartthrob. You're the business school's belle. Wherever we go, people will envy us. You never talk, all cold and aloof. I'm a great talker, very warm. Together we balance each other out." Then I told her about my proudest moments. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore and squeezed out 2 words, "Shut up." But the moment I asked what she wanted to eat, she'd answer me. "Felix, I want seafood noodles." The seafood noodles were in dining hall 4 on another campus, but I'd still get up at once and go grab them for her. After a few rounds together, say she's easy to chase? She's really not. She only hears what she wants to hear. Say she's hard to chase? No one's allowed to sit beside her in class, yet I get to sit there every day and pester her. I even had a rightful spot in her dorm, like right now. I said I wanted to eat and watch a show at the same time, and she handed me her laptop. Sometimes at a cringe-worthy scene, she'd cover her eyes. I couldn't tell if she was watching me or the show. After lunch, as I was about to leave, her roommate Chloe squeezed over and whispered to me, "Felix, Vivian's birthday is coming up." My eyes lit up. Here's my chance. I had to pull off a grand, dramatic confession. At this slow burn pace, her mother wasn't moved at all. I had to go big, so I searched online for a low-cost confession. In the end, I decided to lay out a heart of candles on the sports field, with our names in the middle, as cheesy and cringe as it gets. The night before her birthday, I had Chloe and the others drag Vivian out to the field. She took one look and turned to leave. I shouted, "Stay! There's a surprise!" She didn't even look back. Afterward, I felt incredibly humiliated. Luckily, a campus worker showed up, put out all the candles with a fire extinguisher. I kept apologizing while helping clean up. The next day, an unknown number called. I answered. The caller said she was Mrs. Shen's secretary. Mrs. Shen wanted to meet me. I agreed at once. "Sure thing, I'll be right there." Same tea room as before. Mrs. Shen looked me up and down. "So you're the one who keeps harassing my daughter." I put on a righteous face. "Ma'am, you can't put it that way. The two of us are truly in love. No one can tear us apart." She frowned in disgust, then pushed a bank card over. "This is 5 million. Leave my daughter." Seeing this, I held back my joy and squeezed out a few tears. "We're truly in love. She even said she wants to marry me." Hearing this, Mrs. Shen's face changed. "Mary, take a good look at yourself. Are you worthy of my daughter?" I straightened my back at once and stood up. "Ma'am, you can't say that. Your daughter likes me, so I must have something special about me." That left her stuck for a moment, so she raised the stakes. "As long as you're willing to leave her, break up with her, I'll give you another 5 million afterward." But I instantly put on a most pitiful look. It's not that I'd leave her for money, it's that love without a parent's blessing won't last. "Ma'am, shall we sign an agreement? You have to write clearly that this is a gift." Mrs. Shen looked disgusted. "What the Shen family gives away is never taken back. Break up with my daughter now and get out of my sight." I stood up, thrilled beyond words. "Sure thing." Then I pulled out my phone and called Vivian. It rang twice before she picked up. She spoke first. "I want seafood noodles for lunch." Her voice was still as lovely as ever, but now I had 5 million, full of confidence. I shouted into the phone, "Eat, eat, eat. All you ever think about is eating. I'll never bother you again. We're done." I hung up and decisively deleted her from my chat. Then I left in a hurry. At the bank, I smacked my forehead. I forgot to ask for the PIN. Just as I was thinking it, the secretary texted me the PIN. With 5 million in hand, I quit my part-time job and started preparing to study abroad. Before, with no money, I'd had to give it up. Now that I had money, I immediately began the preparations. My roommates asked me, puzzled, "Aren't you chasing that untouchable beauty from the business school? Why are you holed up in the dorm studying every day?" I grinned. Couldn't get her. Gave up. But after I gave up, Vivian kept showing up around me. I'd just pretend not to see her and slip away fast. Chloe came to find me. "Felix, Vivian just can't bring herself to apologize, but she doesn't dislike you. Hang in there a bit more and it'll work out." I waved my hand. "Forget it. You can't force what isn't there. I won't bother her anymore." In the end, Chloe walked off looking deeply constipated. I thought that was the end of it. But 2 days later, Vivian showed up at our law school for class and sat right next to me. I instantly got nervous, terrified one of her mother's spies would see and think I'd broken the deal. She cleared her throat awkwardly. "Sorry about that day. I just didn't want to be stared at." Her words froze me. She actually apologized, so I apologized too. "I was too over the top. I caused you trouble. I'm the one who should apologize." Her eyes widened slightly. "Since you know it was your fault, why did you start ignoring me? Like it was my fault somehow." I forced down my exasperation and turned away, not wanting to deal with her. She didn't talk much to begin with, so when I ignored her, she just sat there beside me. After a while, I felt this couldn't go on, so I spoke up. "What are you doing? Our law classes are useless to you." She glanced at the marriage law textbook on the lectern. "Might come in handy someday." Class ended right at noon. She stood up and asked, "Want to grab lunch together?" I looked at her and said bluntly, without mercy, "Actually, I don't like you anymore. You can understand, right?" My words stunned her. I scratched my head, looking very embarrassed. "Sorry about that." Her face went livid. Without a word, she turned and walked off. Watching her back, I broke into a cold sweat. Then I figured, let it go. Once I come back from studying abroad and earn a lot, I'll pay the money back to her mother. After this, Vivian really did stop talking to me. No more run-ins at school, and her roommates stopped coming to plead her case. Sometimes I found it amazing. Thank goodness her mother showed up in time. Otherwise, she's so easy to chase, and if I'd actually won her over, I'd only end up breaking her heart even worse. However, one day, 2 months later, she and I ran into each other in the stairwell. My eyes met hers by accident. No way to pretend I hadn't seen. Seeing it was me, she just walked past with a cold face. It stirred a flicker of guilt in me. But then I thought, with all those suitors she'd had before, I didn't even count. At most, some hired muscle. And I was actually worried about hurting her. Another month passed, and Mrs. Shen came to find me again, same tea room. This time her attitude was a bit gentler. She nodded at me. "You kept your word, I'll give you that." Then she pushed the bank card over. Seeing this, I immediately reached to take it, but suddenly a hand pinned mine down. It wasn't Mrs. Shen, it was Vivian. She looked at me coldly. "So why'd you stop chasing me out of nowhere? Turns out you took my mom's money." Seeing this, Mrs. Shen immediately threw me under the bus. "Vivian, don't let this man fool you. He just wants money. He used to work here in this very tea room. Every time I paid off your sister's suitors, he was right there. I think he just figured you were easy to fool, so he came to fool you." Hearing this froze me. Vivian actually had a younger sister, and the ones being paid off were the sister's suitors. Just then, Vivian suddenly leaned in close to my ear. Felix, are you tired of living, daring to trick me? After that, I didn't get the final payment. Vivian dragged me off. Before leaving, she told Mrs. Shen, stay out of my business. Downstairs, I tried to shake off her hand but couldn't. Instead, I got shoved into a car. I jumped. You wouldn't be planning to... She drove fast, so I just shut up. The car headed toward the school, and my heart eased a little, but to my surprise, she stopped the car in front of a villa. With a cold face, she pulled me out, looking furious. I regretted everything. I had this feeling she was going to finish me off. The moment I got out, I dropped into a crouch, no dignity left. My life mattered more. So I went straight into a sliding kneel and grabbed her leg. Vivian, I didn't do anything. I'll give you back every cent your mom gave me. I beg you, let me off this once. I'll vanish from your sight forever. My words only made her more impatient. She dragged me straight into the house. I clung to the doorframe for dear life, refusing to go in, but she pried my fingers loose one by one. I was scared and angry. What exactly do you want? I waited on you all this time. How can you turn on me like this? She gritted her teeth. You've got some nerve bringing up the past. Weren't you the one who came on to me first? I put on a thick skin. So what do you want? I'm not going in there with you. Never in a million years did I expect that because of one moment of greed, I'd end up held captive by Vivian. On the sofa, she sat across from me, her face terrifyingly grim. From begging at first to cursing her out later, nothing moved her expression one bit. And so, she and I sat there staring each other down for a whole afternoon. In the end, I couldn't hold out. I fell asleep on the sofa. When I woke up, I really needed the bathroom. But she was still sitting there, lost in thought. I squirmed, glancing at my hands and feet bound with ribbon. How long are you going to keep me like this? I need the bathroom. She didn't even look at me. Right now you're the guilty party. You've got nerve making demands. That set me off. And you got nothing out of it? Bringing you meals every day wore me out. I waited on your roommates too. I already said I'd give the money back. This money, I really got no luck enjoying it. Then I remembered her mom mentioning a sister. It hit me that I must have chased the wrong person. If it had been the sister, there'd be none of this trouble. So I tried to explain. I know I got the wrong person. If I'd known, I should have gone after your sister. Can't I just apologize? If that doesn't satisfy you, I'll bring you meals for another semester. At the mention of her sister, her face turned even uglier. She stood up and slowly closed in on me, her face dark. So you really are what my mom said. You chased me for the money and you'd actually meant to chase my sister. I couldn't help flinching in fear. But then her expression suddenly shifted, like her mood had lifted a lot, and she even untied me. I couldn't figure her out. After dark, I came out of the bathroom planning to leave. Before going, I turned and looked at her. I'm off. What do you want to eat tomorrow? I'll bring it, using the money your mom gave me. She smiled at me. She gave it to you. It's none of my business. It was the first time I'd seen her smile. I'd always thought she had no expressions at all. Turns out she looks lovely when she smiles, just a little cold. While I was thinking that, before I could say anything, she went on. I accept your confession. From now on, you're my boyfriend. Surprised? Hearing that, I rolled my eyes and grumbled inwardly, what surprise? More like a scare. Seeing me stay quiet, she stepped closer, rested a hand on my shoulder, and leaned into my ear. After class, I'll make you regret ever crossing me. Her words sent a shiver through me. Can I say no? What do you think? Stay locked in here, or be my boyfriend? You choose. In the end, I could only nod and agree to be her boyfriend. She's this gorgeous. Who's really losing here is up for debate. But I had underestimated just how shameless Vivian could be. Back at school, she openly pulled me around showing off, and everyone looked on in admiration. Her demands grew even greater than before. Whenever I didn't have class, she'd haul me off at once. At first, I couldn't be bothered with her and studied in the library on my own. But my peace didn't last 2 days. She cornered me in the library. She wasn't even angry, just looked at me. But that icy stare made my skin crawl. I couldn't help speaking up. I've got exams to study for. We may be a couple now, but we still shouldn't interfere with each other's lives, right? She nodded, then smiled and opened a box. Of course, we're a couple. Now, this is a gift for you. I took a look. It was a bracelet. Looking closer, I saw it had a passcode lock. I panicked and quickly tried to pull it off, but found I couldn't. Then she yanked me away. When she dropped me back at my dorm, she stated flatly, "When I call you, you come at once. Otherwise, deal with the consequences." I had no words. The next day, she texted me to go fetch her food. I ignored it, ate at the dining hall myself, then went to study in the library. The moment I sat down, the bracelet started blaring, and what it played back was my own words. I nearly jumped out of my seat. Everyone looked at me like I was a lunatic. I tried to find the switch, but couldn't find it anywhere, so I had no choice but to flee the library. The whole way, people shot me looks like daggers. Some strange, some smirking. I bitterly called Vivian. "You are despicable." She just replied with a laugh. "Boyfriend, hurry up and bring me my food." Once I was forced to agree, the bracelet finally stopped shrieking. I got the food from the dining hall and came to the dorm. Her roommates all teasingly called me brother-in-law. I gave a flat grunt and dropped the food on her desk. I leaned down and whispered by her ear, "Do you know how humiliated I just was? How can you be so cruel? Do you know how much of the whole school is laughing at me now?" She gave me a fake smile, looking thoroughly punchable. "Right back at you." Seeing this, I glared at her, grinding my teeth. Can I go now, Your Highness? She shook her head. No. Her roommates watched us curiously, their eyes seeming to ask when I'd gotten so bold. I could only fling my bag onto her desk in frustration and start studying. From then on, she seemed to have found the perfect way to toy with me. The moment I dared not reply to a message, or didn't come to her, she'd make the bracelet scream. Knowing I was taking the TOEFL, she told me to return the $5 million her mom had given me. That day we had a huge fight. I pointed at her. Didn't your mom say the Shen family never takes back what it gives? I put in all this effort. Getting a little out of it is only fair. She stood up too and shouted back at me. I see a little money's gone to your head. You're my boyfriend now. Look at what you're doing. Where's your sense of being a boyfriend? What gives you the right to study abroad? If you just stopped taking that money to leave me, forget $5 million, I'd give you $50 million. I clenched my fists, and the words burst out before I could stop them. Who wants your filthy money? She pointed at me. If you don't want it, then give it back. You're not taking my family's money to study abroad. I stamped my feet in fury. Vivian, I really look down on you. Unlock this bracelet. I want to break up with you. At that, she grabbed my hand at once. Break up? Only over my dead body. I froze. In that moment, I felt we weren't married, yet might as well be. How terrifying. Still, in the end, we were just college students. At noon, over what to eat, I got into another big fight with her, one that buried the earlier one. She said she wanted spicy chicken from Dining Hall 1. I said I wanted seafood noodles from Dining Hall 4. She said Dining Hall 4 was too far, too lazy to walk. I said then I'd go on my own. And so she went from the half-spoiled state I'd raised her into to going to the dining hall with me every single day. I spread my hands. Then let's each eat our own thing. Neither has to settle for the other. But she grabbed me on the spot. Nice try. Then she dragged me off to the spicy chicken. A suggestion I'd made to the school was quickly adopted. After the notice came out, Vivian announced to me, let's move out and live together. I refused to cohabit before marriage. She gave a cold laugh, ignored my objection, forcibly canceled my dorm, and moved me into Vivian's villa. Still, living at Vivian's villa had its perks, a private bathroom, no need to use the communal showers. You use the communal showers at school too? Yeah. If you want the bathhouse feel, you can come to my room and we'll shower together for that public bath atmosphere. I was speechless. How could a man and woman shower together? Besides, I'm an innocent virgin boy. If a certain someone couldn't control herself, I'd have nowhere to cry. A boy has to protect himself out there. Before the winter break of junior year, she said the group was organizing a trip together, and that everyone was bringing their boyfriends. She wanted me to come along, too. I didn't want to go, but she wouldn't let me refuse. In the end, I gave in. We went to a resort. By the time we arrived, snow was falling, everything blanketed in white. Unlike in the city, here there were ski slopes, with lots of people skiing. Vivian asked what I wanted to do. I looked at the slopes, itching to try. I had a great time. At night, we had a barbecue. The other couples drifted off on their own, leaving just Vivian and me. She took my hand, finally revealing the real purpose of this trip. Felix, come soak in the hot spring with me. After that, I had no choice but to follow her. We headed up the mountain path. She said the hot spring was somewhere else, a bit of a walk away, normally reached by cable car. We trod through the snow, her ahead, me following. In the night, in all that vast world, it was just the two of us. Watching her, I couldn't help but smile, because I suddenly realized we were like two lunatics, fighting every day over the pettiest little things, yet still together this whole time. Under the moonlight, we kept walking the mountain path. Are there wolves in these mountains? Yes, so stay close to me. If you die saving me from a wolf, I'll mourn you for 3 years out of respect. If I die saving you and you dare find someone new, even as a ghost, I won't let you off. Love is respect and blessing. You still have a long road ahead. You, a person who'd sell yourself out and toy with others for money, dare to teach me what love is. You keep clinging to the past. I really don't see the point. Isn't it your own doing? You're the one who played me first. We arrived at the hot spring. There was no one here but the staff. I looked at the steaming water and couldn't help looking delighted. If I had a job like this, I'd definitely come to enjoy it every day. After I changed and came out, she was already in the water, a tray floating beside her, holding red wine and cake. I looked at her and cursed, inwardly, she really knows how to live. So I slipped into the water too. Before long, she looked at me earnestly. Could you not study abroad? Of course not. If it weren't to earn money to study abroad, would I have ever let you— The last words I didn't say out loud. After all, in this mood, a fight would spoil it too much. Forget it. What do you know? All you do is order me around. But the moment I close my eyes, wanting to keep enjoying the warm spring, can't you just as easily do a master's, a PhD here at home? Don't go, okay? But I want to go out and experience things, to see what others are like. Then what about me when you're gone? You're not my daughter. It's not like there'll be no one to look after you if I leave. I go wherever I want. Coming out of the spring, I felt a little dizzy and held my head. Is this spring poisoned or something? Whose fault is it for drinking so much? She went to take me back to the room. Groggy, I looked up at the moon overhead. Girlfriend, the truth is, I really do like you. At my words, she trembled all over, then squeezed my hand back. Me too. The next day, the moment I got up, I felt a little excited, because I remembered that after we got back to the room last night, Vivian seemed to have unlocked my bracelet. But when I lifted my hand to look, I froze. Why is it still here? Vivian opened the door and came in. You're up. You shouldn't have drunk so much. It's already noon. Why is it still on? How would I know? What a petty little thing really holds a grudge. By the spring semester of junior year, I'd gotten busy. But Vivian was even busier. She was interning at her family's company, and sometimes a project kept her away for days. This actually improved our relationship. We rarely fought. Still, just like before, whenever we had time we'd discuss where to eat. But aside from eating, there wasn't much time for anything else. Sometimes we'd both be in the study. She busy with work, me with my studies. She never again brought up stopping me from going abroad. Sometimes I even wondered if she had no idea what I was doing, just as I had no clue about her current work. As time went on, by the summer break of junior year, my time started to free up, but she was still swamped with work. Though we still lived together, I felt she was drifting further and further from me, and that struck me. With my free time, though, I read often, and books settled my mind. For a long stretch after that, I began to reflect on my relationship with Vivian. Finally, one day, I figured it out. In the living room, I picked up a book and let out a sigh. I thought, maybe I'm like the one that got away in a billionaire romance novel. I was set on studying abroad, leaving room for the male lead. The one who got away might regret it someday, but right now I can't give up a bright future. I can't give up a different life. I can't gamble on one person's conscience and love. People grow at different speeds. People start from different places. And under such a huge gap, true love can't survive too much strain. So I got up and walked into her study. I picked up a pen and wrote a line in one of her books. I'm leaving. I admit I really did like you a lot. By now you've probably already forgotten me, but it's fine if you have, because I'll forget you too. After writing it, I took out my phone and deleted Vivian's contact. After that, I came to an unfamiliar city and began a new life. My flatmate was a med student. I often heard sighs coming from his room in the middle of the night. Each time, I was glad I'd deleted Vivian's contact. Otherwise, in the dead of night, I'd surely have wanted to call her. After all, besides her, I had no one to reach out to. 2 months passed like this. I really couldn't take it anymore, because every night the smell of cooking drifted up from the apartment below. Eating this late, it was truly unbearable. So I followed the smell downstairs, walked to the neighbor's door, and knocked. The door opened, and the one who opened it was none other than Vivian. The moment I saw her, I stood there stunned. Vivian stood right in front of me. She picked up a big plate of sweet and sour ribs and dumped them out for a dog beside her. The dog ate with delight. Yesterday I'd still pitied it as a stray, felt it and I were companions in misery. Today, it was living the good life. Excuse me, can I help you? I snapped back to myself and held out the fruit. I came to get to know my new neighbor. Sorry, I don't take things from strangers. At that, I set the fruit by the door, then reached for her arm. She shook me off at once. Unwilling to give up, I grabbed her wrist. Just then, someone passing by stopped and looked over with curiosity. Seeing this, she reluctantly dragged me inside, her face stiff with scorn. You go off to study, and all you learn is to run to a neighbor's at midnight and get handsy. I've been miserable. My professor's been harsh on me. Reading and writing papers every day, no friends either. I wanted to call you, but feared you'd say I brought it on myself. She just crossed her arms and turned her face away. Why are you telling me this? I'm nobody to you. Aren't you here to get back together with me? Otherwise, why cook right under my place to lure me in? What do you take me for? Break up whenever you like, get back together whenever you like, come whenever you like, leave whenever you like. Then give me some of the food you made. I don't want to lose both the girl and the money. In the end, she let me sit at the table. At the table, I picked up the chopsticks and wolfed the food down. When did you learn to cook? And what are you doing here? She leaned against the fridge, looking at me with scorn. I came to see how miserable a certain someone is after leaving me. Then you'll be disappointed. Sure, I ran into plenty of trouble, but none of it can beat me. At my words, she suddenly walked over, sat down across from me, and looked at me earnestly. Come back with me. Let's get married right away. Studying here all alone, lonely like this, what's the point? I felt a little tempted, but shook my head. If a person's heart feels lonely, it'll feel lonely anywhere. Besides, when we lived together, it was already just like being married, that kind of life. I'll admit it had its lonely, romantic charm, but I don't want to live through it a second time. That night, I didn't go back to my rented place upstairs. Vivian said since I'd eaten her food, I couldn't eat it for free, so she forced me to stay the night. When I woke the next day, she was still lying beside me, not like before when she was always rushing out the door, as if the world were waiting for her to save it. Vivian stayed 5 days, then had to fly back home. She said if she didn't go back soon, her sister would start thinking she ran the place. The day she left, I walked her to the door. She patted my shoulder. I'll come again next month. Study hard and stop living on takeout. After I closed the door, I grabbed the sandwich off the table and ate it humming a tune. And just like that, Vivian and I were back together. After getting back together, my mood brightened, and life felt more worth living. I threw myself into studying, wanting to finish sooner, so that when she came, I could be with her the whole time. Vivian came to see me every month, and I called the days she visited Prison Visit Day. Her cooking was excellent. One day she beckoned to me. Come here, let me teach you. I sat on the sofa without budging. What's there to learn? Still, out of habit, I walked over. Like a gentle husband, I rolled up her sleeves for her and tied her apron. I don't like cooking, but I love watching her cook. Our days went on more and more like an old married couple. Later, while I was working on my PhD, Vivian and I went and got our marriage license. Coming out of the registry office, I held the license and looked at Vivian. If your mom won't accept me, says unless I divorce you, she'll throw you out of the house, cut off your credit cards, and take away your career. Would you go back or stay with me? I'd jump off the rooftop. An image of her standing on the roof popped into my head and I smiled. Then before you jump, you have to say goodbye, Felix, my one true love. Her shoulders shook like she couldn't stand me. I asked her again, doesn't your mom mind? About us getting married, I mean. She has no say over me anymore. Suddenly I remembered what had happened back then. Come to think of it, I've still never met your sister. We got together because of her, after all. She glanced at me and didn't reply. But I felt that she and her sister probably didn't get along well because parents always favor the younger one. That left me a little worried about our future. To graduate and get home as soon as possible, I studied a great deal every day. The days were full and busy until she came for another prison visit. She took one look at me and paused. Felix, how did you gain so much weight? Now that you mentioned it, I really had put on a bit. Have you been eating too much? Maybe? After finishing a paper, I just crave fried chicken. Then starting today, I'm making you weight loss meals. Half a month later, my weight was back to normal. When my classmates heard that family had come to stay with me, they were all amazed and kept wanting to come mooch a meal. After Vivian cooked for over a dozen people twice, that very night she leaned against the sofa and looked at me. Next time you bring people back to eat, don't bother coming back yourself. I felt so guilty that I decided on the spot to ban classmates from my place. I believe that a life shared by two means accommodating each other, but I never expected the toughest test to be syncing our daily rhythms. Sometimes she had meetings late into the night. Sometimes I wrote papers till dawn. Still, we always left sticky notes on the fridge. Those days were plain, so plain I felt like it could go on like this forever. By the third year of my PhD, my dissertation was coming along well, and Vivian's remote work had stabilized too. We decided to return home together after graduation. On the day we left, she packed up everything in the apartment and shipped it off. I stood at the door and took one last look at this small 4-room place. She just zipped up the suitcase. Let's go. It's not like we're never coming back. We can come back to visit anytime we want. True, you're right. Back home, life with Vivian went on as usual. Years later, Vivian and I went together to pick up our daughter from kindergarten. On the way, our little girl asked me with great curiosity, Daddy, how did you and Mommy get together? I glanced at Vivian beside me, who was watching me. Your mom and I back then,